Welcome back to Business Law and Ethics class. We are in BBA 4th semester Business Law and Ethics class. We are in the third unit, that is regarding Companies Act. Till now, we have discussed the definition of company. In the previous classes, we have discussed about the characteristic features of company, types of companies, that is classification of companies, like private company, public company, chartered company, like that. Then formation of company or incorporation of company. We have seen various steps. What are the steps in formation of company? We have discussed promotion of a company, promoters, those who take risk in gathering resources and establishing a company. Those are known as promoters of a company. So those steps which are required to start a company, we have discussed, and we have discussed about the important documents. We started with the important documents. In the previous class, we have discussed about Memorandum of Association. See, in today's class, we will discuss about Articles of Association. Second important document is Articles of Association. Okay. So in the previous class, we have discussed about Memorandum of Association. All the items will be mentioned in paragraphs with the clauses. This is the most important document in company's history, company's life. I mentioned it is just like a constitution. For a country, constitution is important. For a company, Memorandum of Association, MOA, is important. See, what is the most important clause in a Memorandum of Association? In the previous class, I mentioned.
Object clause.
Very good. Objects clause means that is going to determine what the activities a company can take up. A company cannot go beyond the activities, go beyond the tasks that are mentioned in object clause. That is why framing it is very, very important. As mentioned in the previous class, Memorandum of Association can be altered, but it is very, very difficult. It is not impossible. It is possible, but it is with a lot of difficulty you can change. Okay. So what are the various clauses? In yesterday's class, in the previous class, we have discussed, that is name clause, object clause, address clause, like several clauses are there. 6 clauses are there totally. You can check. Registered office clause, liability clause, capital clause, and subscription clause. These are the 6 clauses in a Memorandum of Association of a company, which is very, very important. It is known as the constitution of a company. So any company, for building foundation is important. For a company, Memorandum of Association is that much important. Okay. Now, after Memorandum of Association, next important document in a company's life, in a company's history, is Articles of Association, AOA. Okay. Articles of Association. See, in simple terms, Articles of Association means rules and regulations governing a company's work. See, at what time, let us take, for example, our college. See, with outsiders, how college behaves. With insiders means with the students, with teachers, with attenders, with the office staff. How college principal behaves, there is a difference. See, similarly, Memorandum of Association establishes relationship with outsiders of a company, whereas Articles of Association mentions the relations, describes the relations within the company. Means what are the powers of the director, what are the powers of the managing director, what are the powers of the manager, who can be appointed, what are the timings of the company, at what time a company, how capital can be gathered. Everything will be mentioned in Articles of Association. It is nothing but rules and regulations governing a company for carrying out effectively its business operations. You can see articles. Articles means not English articles. Here, Articles of Association, it means articles means. So articles are the regulations or bylaws of a company for carrying into effect the objects of the company. See, in MOA, objects will be mentioned, objectives will be mentioned. In articles of association, steps will be mentioned how to achieve those objectives. In order to achieve those objectives, what are the steps we have to take? How functioning should take place? That will be mentioned in articles of association. Okay. So as defined by the company in its memorandum of association. As you know, in memorandum of association, objects are mentioned. So in order to reach those objectives, certain rules and regulations are required. Those rules and regulations will be mentioned in articles of association. Okay. So it is related to internal affairs of the company. You have to remember. Whereas memorandum of association is related to external affairs. With outsiders, how a company behaves. See, with outsiders, how a company needs to be addressed. See, with company's name, outsiders can address. Similarly, company will address outsiders with the help of its name only. So like that. See, outsiders can come to company with the help of the address that is mentioned in memorandum of association. So any correspondence, any deal with outsiders is possible with memorandum of association. So it specifies rules, regulations, relations that are required for company with outside of world. Whereas articles of association specifies rules and regulations, bylaws within the company. Okay, so that is the difference between memorandum of association and articles of association. Changing of articles of association is very easy, whereas changing of a memorandum of association is not impossible, but it is very, very difficult. Just in the previous class I mentioned, before your first class, before your second class, you can change your name easily, but after 10th class, it is not impossible, it is possible, but with great difficulty, it is going to be happening. So that is why framing memorandum of association is more important than framing articles of association. Okay, so these are the contents of articles of association. You see properly. See share capital. First one is share capital and variation of rights. See, share. In the previous classes, I mentioned what is the share. With example also, I mentioned share is nothing but investment in a company. Shareholders, those persons who invest in the company, they are the real owners. They on their own cannot run the company. They cannot run the show in the company. On behalf of them, they will elect directors. They will run the show. So in share capital, different shares are there. Most importantly, equity shares are there and preference shares. These two are the most important types of shares in a company. Equity shares, preference shares. Okay. So these, what are the rights of equity shareholders? What are the rights of preference shareholders will be determined in contents of articles of association, will be mentioned in articles of association. Okay. Equity shareholders' rights will be different from that of preference shareholders' rights. So that is why while framing articles of association, you should take care the promoters, the directors, the important personnel who are working in the company. They should see to it that there is a variation, there is a change in rights of equity shareholders and preference shareholders. Exercise of lieu by the company. What do you mean by lieu? Exercise of lieu by the company.
Don't know, sir.
See, today, if I am unable to take class, means on behalf of me, I will request, for example, our HOD sir, Sarveshwar Rao garu, Dr. Sarveshwar Rao garu to take the class. So he is taking class in lieu of me. Me means in my place, he will engage the class. Did you understand? In lieu means in a place of. For me, he will act as a lecturer in this class. Similarly, on behalf of company, who has to sign on documents, whether it is managing director, whether it is manager, yes, substitute, very good. Whether it is manager, whether it is director, or whether it is any other person who is designated to act on behalf of the company as a substitute for the company on important documents, who has to sign? Only when signature is there, only when official seal rubber stamp is there, the document will become valid. Otherwise, it will be invalid. So exercise of lieu powers means exercise of powers on behalf of the company are going to be enjoyed by which person will be mentioned in this articles of association. Okay, calls on shares. See, similarly in memorandum of association, in one clause, how much capital can be gathered by company? Maximum amount will be mentioned. What is that clause known as? What is that clause known as?
Capital clause.
Very good. Very good, Aditya. In capital clause, we are going to mention the maximum amount that can be collected by the company, that can be gathered by the company. Suppose, let us take, for example, 10,000 crores is the authorized capital. We give the name to that company, that capital which can be collected to the maximum extent as authorized capital. So a company can collect up to 10,000 crore rupees as per MOA, Memorandum of Association. It is mentioned. See, but 10,000 in the first year itself, company do not require. Maybe in subsequent year, when company wants to expand its business, then some more amount may be required. In the initial year, in the starting year, only 1,000 crores the company collected. And after 5 years, company requires another 5,000 crores. So from shareholders in installments, company will call. So that is known as calls on shares. Did you understand the concept? Company does not require total authorized capital in the initial year itself. In phases, it will collect money from the shareholders. See, suppose let us take, for example, I am a shareholder. I have taken 1,000 rupees worth shares. Immediately, I need not pay company the total 1,000 rupees. I will first of all pay 100 rupees. Just when we purchase a big asset, let us take, for example, fridge or plot or any building or TV, down payment we will make. And installments, in installments, we are going to pay. Similarly, in company also, whatever shareholders promise to give, immediately they need not give. Company will call. When a company requires money, company will call. That is known as calls on shares. So, how to proceed with the calls on shares? When to collect money from the shareholders? That will be mentioned in Articles of Association. Who has the right to call money from shareholders? When they can call? When to expand business? All the rules and regulations will be mentioned in Articles of Association. Similarly, transfer, transmission, forfeiture, and surrender of shares, everything will be mentioned in shares, this Articles of Association. See, transfer means, suppose I have purchased a company's share. Let us take, for example, in the Reliance company, I have invested some money. Okay, so if I want to transfer my share, means where can I do it? In stock exchange, I can do it. See, if you follow news, half an hour, if you see news at the end, they will mention every day. In Bombay, Nifty stock exchange has increased. American Nasdaq stock exchange today values have decreased. Have you ever observed those things? Those news, did you observe? They will give share market. See, this index has increased. Index today has decreased. Likewise, they will mention. Okay. So if a shareholder want to transfer his shares, he has to approach stock exchange brokers. Brokers will be there. So how to take up the process will be mentioned in Articles of Association. Similarly, transmission from one person to another person. Similarly, forfeiture. Forfeiture means, I will tell you with an example. I will explain you with an example. You see, let us take, for example, I mentioned 1,000 rupees worth shares I have purchased. Immediately down payment, how I made 100 rupees. First payment. The company asked first installment, means first calls on shares, 200 rupees they asked, but they gave time up to May 31st. So I have paid this amount, 200 also. So till now to company, how many rupees I gave? Yes, till now, how many rupees I gave?
300 rupees.
Very good. First, 1,000 rupees worth shares I purchased. Immediately I paid 100 rupees with the application form itself. Then company called to another 200 from me. Last date they gave as May 31st. I paid 200. So totally 100 plus 200. Till now 300 I paid. Still how much I have to pay? Still 700 I have to pay. Again company gave a notice to me. By 15th August, I have to pay another 200 rupees. This is the notice served to me. But what I did is, I did not pay the amount. I could not pay the amount actually. So what will the company do? Company will wait for 1 or 2 days after August 15, August 16, 17, they will wait and they will forfeiture my shares. Forfeiture means they will take up my shares and they will sell to somebody else. See, suppose I will tell one general example. See, I require money. So whatever my gold ornaments are there, I have taken to a bank and I have given this gold ornament to him, and this value of my ring is to 20,000 rupees. Let us take for example, I required immediately 10,000 rupees. I will take it. The banker will tell this is the time after which you have to compulsorily repay the loan, and interest also every month I am supposed to pay. I did not pay any interest. I did not repay the principal amount also, loan amount also. What the bank will do? Banker will sell it. Banker will issue notice to me. If I do not pay any interest, if I do not pay capital, whatever loan that I have taken, if I do not pay, the company will take care of this. I will lose it forever. Similarly, in case of shares also, company will take care of it, and the company will sell these shares in stock exchange in a different manner to different persons. So that is what forfeiture of shares. Similarly, surrender of shares. So whenever a shareholder means a person who has promised certain amount to a company, who has invested in a company, those are the original owners in a company. So if they want to surrender their shares to company, to give up their shares to company, what is the process? Who is the in charge of those processes? Everything will be mentioned in Articles of Association. So similarly, conversion of shares into stock. See, in my example, I mentioned, I have taken up 1,000 rupees worth of shares. Till now, I have paid 300 rupees. So this is known as only share. When I pay totally this 1,000 rupees, the shares can be converted as stock, can be converted into stocks. If I do not pay full payment, if I do not make full payment, they will be called as shares only. If I make total payment, after making of the total payment, that shares are known as stock. So what is the procedure of converting shares into stock and its reconversion into shares? Again, if these 1,000 rupees, even after payment of it, again, they can be reconverted into shares. What is its process will be mentioned in Articles of Association. Okay. Similarly, issue of share warrants and rights of their holders. When payment on shareholders is complete, the shareholders will be issued share warrants, means just certificate. Okay, share warrant is a certificate containing total details, the name of the person, how much investment he has made in the company. Everything will be mentioned. So who is going to take up the responsibility in the company of issuing share warrants, and what are the rights of their holders? Whoever is issued share warrants, what are their rights? That will be mentioned in these Articles of Association. Okay. Alternation of capital. Similarly, in the previous class, I mentioned in capital clause of Memorandum of Association, the maximum capital that can be collected will be mentioned. That is known as authorized capital. You have to remember that word. So suppose company wants to increase this authorized capital. That is, alternation means change. So if a company wants to change capital, who has to file a request to the company's registrar? Means it is changing company's capital clause. Who is responsible? Who is going to take up the responsibility? What is the process? What is the procedure? Everything will be mentioned in articles of association. See, are you able to understand? Dear students, are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now next, conduct of any proceedings at general meetings of shareholders. So regularly or periodically, shareholders will be meeting in the company. So they will, who is going to conduct the meetings, who is going to preside over the meetings will be mentioned in articles of association. What is the, who will issue notice to shareholders that this day, this time, at this office meeting will be held. Likewise, the shareholders need to be issued a notice. Then who is going to issue the notice? What is the procedure? Where the register is going to be kept? Who is going to preside over the shareholders meeting? Everything will be mentioned in articles of association. Voting by members. See, shareholders are the real owners of the company. They are the members in a company. Then what are their voting rights? See, in order to elect directors, managing directors, managers, voting will be there. Just like in our elections, voting will take place. No, similarly in companies also voting will take place. Who should be the chairman of the company? Who should be the MD, managing director? Who should be the manager? Who should be the director? Everything will be decided in a democratic manner. Periodically, elections will take place. So, what is the process of voting in the company will be mentioned in articles of association. Similarly, what are the powers of directors? What are the rights of directors? How much remuneration can be paid to the directors? Okay, whether in profit, certain amount, certain percentage should be paid, or fixed amount should be paid to directors, or what is the qualification of a director? What are the duties of a director? Everything will be mentioned in articles of association. Means their rights, duties, responsibilities, powers, qualification, their removal, everything will be mentioned in articles of association. Okay. Similarly, proceedings of board. See, board proceeding. In board means not our green board or blackboard in college class, in college classroom. Board means directors board. So in directors board, who is going to be the boss? Is there any managing director or only directors are there? Who is going to chair the directors meeting? What are the proceedings? Who is going to look after the directors board? So, everything that will be mentioned in articles of association. Similarly, appointment of manager, secretary. See, company secretary is one of the important posts in a company. He will maintain all registers. He will maintain all records in the company. So, what are the qualifications for appointment of company secretary? What are the procedures involved in appointment of manager to a company and secretary to a company? See, company secretary for any company, for any registered company, company secretary's qualification is he should possess company secretary certificate. Okay, just like CA, just like ICWA, company secretaryship course is there. A person should qualify in that course, and only then he will be eligible to be appointed as company secretary. So apart from that, if a company wants any other requirements from a company secretary, that has to be mentioned in articles of association. Whatever additional requirement is there, that needs to be mentioned. So that will be mentioned in articles of association. The seal of the company means rubber stamp, common seal. So what is the symbol that needs to be there? What should be the write-up on the common seal of the company? Means rubber stamp of the company will be mentioned. See, dividend. What is dividend? Shareholders' return is known as dividend. See, in my example, I mentioned I already invested 300 rupees in a company. For what for I am investing? Every year, company out of its profit, company will pay me certain amount. So that is my return is known as dividend. See, if a company earns 1,000 crore rupees in a particular year, I will be paid, let us take for example 100 rupees as my share in that 1000 crore rupees profit. So that is my dividend. Dividend means return to shareholder. Whatever amount that I have invested in the company, I expect something from that investment. So that my return on the investment on the share capital is known as the dividend. Similarly, reserves. Reserve means, see, if you know bike riding, if you know scooty riding, you know that some petrol will be there in reserve. Am I correct? Do you know?
Yes, sir. In emergency, we can
In
use
emergency, we can use the reserve. Similarly, see, in this example I mentioned, company earned 1000 crore rupees. See, all this amount will not be distributed among shareholders. Some amount will be kept in a reserve, so that next year there is no guarantee that the company will enjoy profits. Next year, the company may incur loss. In that case, the company cannot go to the market for begging purpose. They cannot beg money from financial institutions or banks or other known persons. So entire amount, entire profit will not be distributed. Some amount will be kept in reserve. So what is the procedure? How much percentage of profit should be kept as reserve will be mentioned in articles of association. Similarly, capitalization of profits. This means this is another process by which entire profits will not be distributed. Some will be converted as capital. Some will be converted into capital. What is the process involved in it? Who is going to take care of that will be mentioned in articles of association. Then who is going to be accountant? What are his duties? What are his rights? What are his responsibilities? What are his qualifications? Everything will be mentioned in articles of association. Account maintenance of accounts, where the books need to be kept. Who is the person responsible for maintaining accounts? See, accounts, maintenance of accounts is very, very important, because if we maintain a proper accounts, only then we can show them to tax authorities. Only then we can know exact profit, how much profit we have enjoyed in this current year, or how much loss we incurred. Similarly, what are our assets, what are our liabilities? Everything will be known only if we maintain accounts. If we do not maintain accounts, we cannot know. Similarly, if we maintain proper accounts, nobody can cheat us. See, suppose in our college, in your class, let us take for example, if there is no account of the benches, if in my house bench is required, means if nobody is there, night time I will go to college and I will take one tractor and I will bring 3 or 4 benches to my house. If I maintain proper accounts, proper records, I cannot cheat like that. If the college maintains proper records of what it has, like suppose in my house fan is not working, I require urgently fan. I don't want to spend money. In our college, there is no proper maintenance of accounts, maintenance of registers. Then in that case, what I will do? When nobody is there, I will remove one fan from the college campus and I will bring it to my house. On my vehicle, I can keep it in a bag. So it may take place. See, in a very small college, if these things are bound to happen, means in a very big company where thousands of crores of rupees business will take place every day or throughout the year. So much theft or so much of looting may take place. In order to prevent that, company should maintain proper accounts. So the post of accountant is very, very important. So who is going to be in charge of the accounts department? What are the records that need to be maintained? What are the qualifications? Everything will be mentioned in articles of association. Similarly, binding up. What do you mean by binding up? Winding up means closing. See, closing is also very, very difficult in case of company. Please remember. See, if I open a Kirana shop, I can open it easily and I can close it also without anybody's permission. I can close. Okay. But finishing, very good, Aditya. But in case of company, it is not easy to wind up. It is not easy to close. See, because in a company form of organization, lakhs of people sometimes crores of people will be working as employees. If a company is closed, what happens? They will lose their bread and butter. They will have to roam on streets for lack of job. That is why when companies act, there is a provision. There are strict rules and regulations as to how a company can be closed, how a company can be wound up. So winding up process will be mentioned in articles of association. After how many years the company can wind up, can close up, or who is going to take care of the closure procedures? Who is going to be the boss? Who will decide when to close the company? And when company is closed, how to sell the assets of the company? Who is going to take care of it? How liabilities can be paid? Everything will be mentioned in articles of association. So that is why this is also a very, very important document in company's life, in company's history. So articles of association is related to internal affairs of the company. You can observe this is all related to internal affairs of the company only. Within the organization, within the company, each person's responsibilities, each person's duties, each person's rights, each person's qualifications will be mentioned in articles of association. Without articles of association, company cannot run. Because it establishes, if memorandum of association establishes its relation with outsiders, articles of association establishes the rules governing the company. Who is the boss, what he will do, when he has to do, how he can do, what are the powers, what are the responsibilities, what are the duties, what is the timing. Everything will be mentioned in articles of association. That is also, it is also very, very important document in company's history, in company's life. So dear students, today we have revised a little bit of a memorandum of association. Memorandum of association is a very important document in the history of a company, in the life of a company. It is just like a constitution. It is the foundation based on which company will function. That is what we discussed in the previous class and we revised in that class, in this class. So in memorandum of association, each clauses, 6 clauses are there. Each clause will be serially numbered and in paragraphs they will be mentioning in memorandum of association. In a memorandum of association, as explained in the previous class, name clause specifies the name, registered office clause specifies the address, and objects clause, most important clause is object clause. Objectives will be mentioned. Liability clause, whether company shareholders have limited liability, unlimited liability, or limited by guarantee, that will be mentioned. In capital clause, company's authorized capital will be mentioned. You have to remember it. And subscription clause, these are the 6 clauses which are mentioned in memorandum of association. And articles of association, as I mentioned, articles of association specifies bylaws, rules and regulations within which a company will function, based on which a company will function. So memorandum of association provides objectives, aims, goals, whereas with the help of articles of association, with the help of rules and regulations framed by the owners of the company, we can achieve goals set in or objects set in memorandum of association. So these are the various contents in articles of association. So what is the share capital? How much share capital should be there? Right from establishment to ending, winding up. What are the rules and regulations governing a company will be described in articles of association. I hope you understood. So thank you very much, dear friends. In the next class, what we will discuss is, we will go back to syllabus once. See, we have completed this definition of company. Characteristic features of company we have discussed. Classification of companies we have seen. Formation of company, incorporation of a company we have seen. Memorandum and articles of association we have discussed. In the next class, we will discuss about prospectus. What is prospectus? And not only that, certificate in lieu of prospectus is also going to be there. What is the meaning of that? Certificate in lieu of prospectus as well as prospectus. In lieu, that word came in today's class. In lieu means as a substitute, in place of this. For this, another thing. Okay, so prospectus and certificate in lieu of prospectus, what is the importance and what are the contents? Everything we will discuss in the next class. I hope you understood everything in this class. Thank you very much, dear friends. In the next class, we will meet again. Have a nice day.